It's almost there.
Oh, it's a Sunday.
You're not going up there to read it, right? You
No,
wanna read
just read it right here, it's fine. Yeah. Okay. Good evening and welcome to the Mount Olive Council meeting for August 9th, 2016. If you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence for the men and women that serve.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Michelle, would you read the Open Public Meetings Act, please?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda, Mr. Ferrante.
Here.
Mrs. Labow.
Here.
Mr. Mania.
Here,
Mr. Stewart.
Here.
Mr. Roman.
Here.
Mr. Nacastro.
Here.
Can I just ask that everyone speak into the mics tonight when you speak? Because we've been having trouble hearing some people because they're sitting back in their chair when we type the minutes.
not a problem.
All right, thank you.
First item up is we have two proclamations. One proclamation is from the Office of the Mayor, proclamation honoring September as Childhood Awareness Month. Whereas Nicholas DeSalva of the Township of Hardington, New Jersey, bravely fought and in remission from Burkitt lymphoma, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a form of pediatric cancer, and whereas in gratitude for all those who helped him and his family in his journey to recover, the DeSalva family in the Township of Mount Olive would like to raise awareness for childhood cancer, and whereas each year pediatric cancer interrupts the childhood and limits the potential of thousands of young Americans, and it remains the leading cause of disease-related death for children, and whereas September has been declared National Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, in an effort to raise awareness, everyone is encouraged to go gold to show support and promote recognition of those young lives affected by cancer. And whereas during Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, we come together to remember all whose lives were cut short by pediatric cancer, to recognize the loved ones who know too well the pain it caused, and to support every child and every family battling cancer each day. We join their loved ones and all researchers, healthcare providers, and advocates who support them as we work toward a tomorrow where all children are able to pursue their full measure of happiness without the burden of cancer. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Robert Greenbaum, Mayor of Mount Olive Township, do hereby proclaim September as Childhood Awareness Month in the Township of Mount Olive. Mr. Roman, would you like to read the next proclamation?
Yes, proclamation from the Office of the Mayor honoring September as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas ovarian cancer is called the silent killer because its symptoms are often vague and or subtle, and whereas ovarian cancer is the 5th leading cause of cancer deaths among women and the leading cause of gynecological cancer deaths in the United States. And whereas each year more than 22,000 Americans are diagnosed with the disease and approximately 16,000 die from it. And whereas if detected in its early stages, survival rate from ovarian cancer is 90 to 95%, and the 5-year survival rate is only 28% because it is so difficult to detect early. And whereas the Turn to Town Teal campaign launched by Gail McNeil during her 10-year battle with ovarian cancer, and whereas Kaleidoscope of Hope, the Atlantic Health System, and the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition of Northern New Jersey are partnering to promote awareness of ovarian cancer through the Turn to the Town Teal campaign. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Robert Greenbaum, Mayor of Mount Olive, do hereby proclaim September as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month and support the Turn to Town Teal Awareness campaign in the Township of Mount Olive.
Thank you. Okay. Up for discussion is the Township Code regarding sewer and water, Article 8, garbage disposal.
Yes, Mr. Quinn, our Director of Public Works, and Mike Lotta, who is our water and sewer foreman, are here to give you the recommendation for September.
Ladies and gentlemen.
How you doing?
Gentlemen.
Hello.
As you see, Mike got all dressed up for the occasion. For those of you who do not know him, this is Mike Lotta. He is the foreman for water and sewer, and he's also the licensed plant operator down the plant. He's going to explain the issues that we would have if garbage disposals were allowed on our sewer systems. So without me dancing around too much, I'm going to give you Mike.
Good evening, council.
Hey, Mike.
Two concerns really that I have as licensed operator. The major concern with garbage disposal units is definitely the addition of more organic matter into the sewer plant. We already have pretty strict BOD limits as per the DEP. Obviously, the more organic matter, our BOD limits, our numbers will be going up, so that will cause a problem on the treatment end.
That explains what the BOD is.
BOD is biochemical oxygen demand. It's the amount of oxygen needed to break down this matter. So obviously, the more matter coming in, the more BOD goes up, our numbers go up. DEP is not happy, and we don't want to go there. The other part of it is just sitting in the collection system alone. We know it can create backups, can create odor complaints. So these are really the two major concerns that we have.
Mr. Roman?
What's our current BOD number?
Our current BOD number is 6.
And what's the state, when do they start frowning?
At 6, that is our limit.
So we're already at our limit.
No, we typically run around 3, 4, somewhere around there.
And in your opinion, if 20% of the township went to garbage disposal, what would that raise it up to?
I would say it's definitely going to either put us at our limit or pushing us over.
And that's,
I mean, without knowing, yeah, I mean, I didn't do the number of homes and number of garbage disposals, but that's something I could definitely figure out. But we know it's definitely going to be pushing our limits for sure.
and how often do we, you said we're now at 3 or 4, how often do we hit 6? Is there a particular
No,
time of
we
year?
typically don't.
We typically don't?
No,
Is there any time in history?
That's not something I try to do. I try to keep everything under the limits as much as possible. So.
And then when the numbers say were to rise up to 4 or 5, what would you have to do to bring them down?
We increase our wasting, which is another thing, more organic matter coming in, more wasting we would have to do at the plant of solids, more removals of solids from the plant, more operating costs.
And that would, and the operating costs would be quantified at how much?
That I don't know.
Okay. Percentage, like fees?
I would say it would probably jump it up another 10%.
Okay. Other than the BOD and the odor numbers, what other things do you think would having a garbage disposal?
Besides the issues in the collection system and at the treatment plant, I mean, those are really the only concerns that I have are the numbers.
And if we were to approve garbage disposal throughout, would you and your staff be able to accommodate? Would you be able to still continue to do your job and stay within state standards?
That probably not. If so, at a higher cost for sure.
I mean, I for one would like to know what those costs would be.
Okay.
You know, if and also the methodology used in order to come up with those numbers. Are you
Okay.
aware of any other townships that had to rescind or pass an ordinance because their numbers were so high?
The only one that I knew was MSA, and they basically threw it back on our shoulders because the town said we didn't. But I know, they never accepted them down there. So
So you're not aware of any township that had issues with their BOD numbers, and then after passage of a court?
no, not in particularly, but I do know, just being around the business, that it does raise the BOD numbers up.
Nothing more at this time.
Mr. Mania?
Mike, what about people who already have them?
Well, the whole time I knew, I thought we had an ordinance in place the whole time, so I'm not sure how many people out there have them already, but.
I, for one, have one.
You do have one?
I have one.
Well, I mean, whoever has them now, I mean, the numbers that we're running are good, so.
I'm a troublemaker, you're right.
But that's another issue with it. We don't know how many are on the system. I mean, you can go to Home Depot or Lowe's and buy a garbage disposal and have it installed. It doesn't take a permit to have that done. Excuse me, the only time we'll find out if something is done like that is if we have to go in for some other type of inspection, plumbing inspection or the sorts, and then we will see it. But other than that, we have no idea what's out there. And to openly allow everybody and anybody to tie into one, I do foresee problems in the future. As Mike said, additional operating costs, for one thing with the sludges. The other issue is going to be dealing with the state to make sure we stay where we need to in our standards. We've never had any violations down there. Plant always runs clean, so we don't really want to push it.
I didn't buy mine at Home Depot. In fact, I just had it replaced, and it cost me $600. And if you're going to tell me now that I can't use it anymore, you better reimburse my $600.
I don't know that you have one. You could just be saying that, Mr. Mania.
Anything else?
And from other conversations, and Alex, I don't have a list, but talking to Gary Lindsay, the building inspector, when this came up, he just informed me that he is unaware of any towns that actually allow it on the books. Yeah, granted, people do have them, but being permitted by a sewer authority is, from what I'm told, somewhat on the rare side. They really don't want the organics in there. They don't want to be dealing with the states. They just find it safer for them if they just not allow them.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes, I have to beg to differ with you on the permit. I thought because of it's an electrical and plumbing thing that you're supposed to get a permit.
Well, if they get a permit, yes.
Yeah, they're supposed to, but yeah, because that's
John,
how
did you get a permit?
Yeah, no. That's how I came across it
No,
the
I didn't get a
first.
permit.
That's how I came across it the first
Strike
time.
two.
A resident.
Well, as I said,
I'm being
Colleen,
honest.
usually we find out when we go in for something
Yeah.
else. You
Yeah,
know, they just
resident-
have somebody put it in, we don't know, but if we have to go in for, say, it's a kitchen remodelization
Mm-hmm.
or something like that, and we have to go in for a full inspection, that's when we would come across it.
Yeah, several years ago, a resident had contacted me because they had gone to get a permit and they were told that they're not allowed. And then Steve Ratner, he was on council at the time, as we all know, he's involved with the MSA, and he said MSA, it's not allowed.
Exactly.
Not
We went
allowed.
through this,
So,
it was about 5 years ago or 6 years ago, and the
Right.
resident was on Second Street. And I remember the big to-do about it, and the fact that the
and
MSA...
around the corner from there, too.
Yes, and the MSA stating that they don't allow it.
No, with the
So-
Bud Lake sewer system, you can't have a garbage disposal. Anybody who's on the
Agreed.
Bud Lake sewer system, you cannot have it.
That's right.
So, and then I was questioning, well, how come Lowe's doesn't have a sign up that says check with your town? Because they don't. So people buy these, they don't even know. And, but anyway, it's, as we all know, when these things break down, it's a certain chemistry involved, a breakdown process, and it's designed a certain way to operate a certain way, and you throw something else in there, like chicken bones or whatever, that's not going to break down the same way. You mess up the whole entire, organic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
thing.
Mike's concerns are the operation of the plant. You know, he's got a stellar record down there, and he
Yeah.
doesn't want to push it.
Mr. Roman?
So are you proposing that, other than saying that they're not allowed, are you proposing any fines if they were later on to be?
Yeah, if they live on First Street, maybe.
They're all
I am
pointing a
not.
finger at me.
At this point, because there was a push to get it on the books and a development to be installing them, I think at this point, I just want to get it on the books that they're not permitted by the township. I'm not looking to go on a witch hunt or,
Right.
bust down doors with the black helicopters and all and get people for their garbage disposals, but I think we have to have it on record that the township does not approve of
And
it.
it came up because of these new developments, obviously, coming
Exactly.
online, which
Right.
is a lot of homes going up and possibly more.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's on the books, it was at least that. Nobody knows who has them in town. That's not going to
No.
change because you can't
Right.
go
If
door
they're,
to door.
yeah, I think if they're, you already
Unless
have
somebody
them.
volunteers the information.
Well,
Like
that's-
I did.
I think we need an audit of it.
But Joe,
Joe, question.
Who was next? One of you got it.
I was next.
Go ahead,
I wanna
Ms.
get
Lehman.
this.
I'm sorry. You're next.
I was just going to say that since we have with the Bud Lake sewer system with the MSA, we cannot have them on that system, and that's the larger. Is that the larger of our systems, or is Clover Hill larger now?
Well, the MSA takes in many towns, so the MSA system is much larger than ours.
It's much larger, but in our town itself, it's, well, anyway, regardless, I don't see the point of saying, yes, this side of town can have it, no, this side can't, when it's a sewer
My
system.
proposal is just to ban them townwide.
Ban them completely,
Because
yeah.
basically, we do run the Bud Lake sewer system. We don't run the treatment.
Right.
We have our pump stations, we have our lines, we have everything else involved with it but the treatment, and that's a concern of ours also. And I wouldn't just pick one side of town and not the other. It's got to be across the board.
Yeah, we have to be consistent.
Yes.
Question, mine was installed by a plumber.
Uh-huh.
Would he not be responsible for getting the permit?
Do you have the plumber's name?
He would be responsible.
I rest my
yeah.
case.
Technically, yes, but it all depends on how you're hiring them. You know, I mean, sometimes they'll take care of the permits, sometimes they won't.
Well, he took the old one, which was still good. And
We sold it.
Sold it on eBay.
it went bad after 3
I bought it,
months.
it's at my house.
And I called him and he come and replaced it and charged me another 600,
I don't think I'd use him
which I
again.
didn't pay. I must tell you.
Turn him
So, so we're looking to put on, it's really to go forward.
in. Yes.
It's to say we don't allow
Right,
garbage
to go
disposals
forward.
going forward. It's not gonna affect anybody that has one, because apparently we have no issues. So it's not like we have to go look for people, because there's
Right.
nothing wrong going on anyway. But we just have to make it known to the public that
We can't,
garbage disposals are not allowed if that's what we're passing.
right.
And that's what we're looking for, and it seems like that
Yeah.
seems to be
To
the
be honest with you, I've been in a lot of residents' homes in the Clover Hill sewer area, and I do not see, if I've seen a handful of them, maybe.
Yeah.
Not to say they're not out there, not that I'm always in the kitchen, but, I've been in a lot of homes down there and have not seen a lot of disposal units.
Mr. Roman?
This is a legal question. Is there going to be a difference, Counselor, between the wording of, say, garbage disposals are not allowed and garbage disposals are banned? Is that a distinction without a difference?
I'd have to research that. I don't know whether.
Because I'd be more inclined something along the lines of
How about not permitted?
not permitted
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
versus banned.
Yeah, I wouldn't use the word
Banned
ban.
could open up
Yeah, not
something else.
permitted.
Yeah, not permitted sounds right.
Right, permitted
And then-
would be agreed. Colleen?
Just to save argument in the future, whatever, just say, as of this date, the other ones are grandfathered in? And
Well, I don't even think we have to.
I wouldn't
mention
go
that.
there.
Don't even
Bring it
go
out.
there?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
All right.
don't even say
Yeah, I
that.
think we
Wait
don't
and-
mention
wait
the
and
other
see if
part,
they
just,
ask it.
it's banned. The ordinance passes this date.
Okay.
and-
Not permitted.
That's
All
not
right,
permitted.
sounds good.
Correct.
Yeah, the issue doesn't come up often. I think, Colleen, it was like 6 years ago, 7 years
Yeah.
ago, when it came up once before, and now because of Regency. So I think we just get in the ordinance, so when we get questioned about it in the future, we have the proper answer to give to
Right.
the public.
Well, it was brought up, because obviously there was an ordinance before that was before there, but the council
bunch.
didn't pass
Well,
for
in the
some
ordinance,
reason.
it says, from and after the effective date of this subsection, no person or person shall discharge or cause to be discharged any waste, either directly or indirectly, from a garbage disposal, including without limitation glass, metal, leftover. So it's saying, and it's also above it, it says, whereas the Township Council believes it is the best interest to amend the Township Code to prohibit the installation of garbage disposals on any new construction. So reading it, it would be me that it's
So
not
it
gonna
takes
be
care of
anything
that.
prior to this ordinance.
Sounds good to me.
But do we remove, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like the new
Question, do you
construction
take out the
only.
new?
I'm kind of with you guys on that. I mean, if
Yeah.
you're just prohibiting them in new construction.
That's my question. Do we remove new construction?
Yes.
Because then I can say, well, my house has been here for 20 years, I'm putting one in.
Yeah.
It becomes a whole different problem if you just leave it as they're
They're
not
not permitted.
not permitted in the township, and leave it at that, and
Right.
deal with it
Yeah.
as it comes up. I think that's the best
I
way.
agree with that.
That needs to be
Okay,
revised.
so it'll be amended then.
Yeah, we need to amend that, I would think, if we're gonna do it.
Okay.
Anything else on the garbage?
I think we,
We
I think we.
trashed it, huh?
Yeah, we
Let's
got.
go. Thank you, guys.
Thank you all very much.
Words, Greg.
We have 8 resolutions. Does anyone have?
Are we discussing the bear hunt? Is that the-
Oh, I'm sorry, the bear hunt. Well, to bring it up and for the record, I did have a discussion with all of council, and we're in agreement at this point not to inclined to do any resolutions to not support or support the bear hunt. And that's where we're going to leave it at this point. Anything else, anybody? That's fine. Thank you. Now we have 8 resolutions. Anyone have anything on the resolutions? Seeing none, we have, what do we have, 3 ordinances?
2 ordinances.
2 ordinances. The sewers and water, which we just discussed, and the ordinance of changing the supervisory salary. Anything on those? Is there any new business? Mr. Roman?
Recently, we were alerted to an issue regarding liquor licenses, and I think this is something that we should discuss at a future meeting, whether we should make it uniform and/or if we're going to carve out any exemptions and/or why, because I think we have too much of a patchwork of different ordinances, and it treats businesses unfairly, and depending on what side of the line you fall into, it could be to your benefit or to your detriment. So I think that's something we should, discuss at a future meeting.
Michelle, do you want to say anything about that now, or?
I
just
mean,
so we can
I don't
explain
know
it?
if you all received my email.
Yes.
Okay, The long and short of it is, there's a business in town. The first question, he called me and he wanted to obtain a liquor license, so I explained how he went about that. In Mount Olive, if you want to obtain a liquor license, basically you go to somebody who's already holding a license and you negotiate a price that's between the buyer and the seller. I have nothing to do with that. I only deal with the transfers when it comes time after they've already negotiated. So told him, I said I could send you a list of all the liquor licenses in town. I'll highlight the ones in red who I feel or know who want to sell their license. It's your obligation. If you want, you can contact anybody on the paper. His next question was, he wanted to, and I sent him the ordinance that we have on the books, okay? And I told him this particular owner of this business is in Sutton Plaza, which is over by, right on 206, where Mount Olive, where the pub is. Okay, the corner pub is, pizzeria, the post office, that area. That is in a C2 zone, okay, it's a commercial zone. The ordinance reads, no licenses, permanent permits, except club licenses, social fair permits, renewals, and transfers at existing locations shall be granted or transferred to premises within a radius of 1,200 feet of any existing licensed premises. This distance restriction shall not apply to the CLI zone, which is a commercial light industrial. That zone over there is a C2. So that ordinance applies, okay? And I gave everybody the history, because there are two licenses over there. You have the pub, the corner pub license, and you have Frank's Pizza, right? It's Frank's Pizza over there, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a history that goes along with that. I want everybody to understand. Way, way, way back when Kieran's was the corner pub many years ago, it was Kiernan's. They had the only license in that area. There was another business on 206 somewhere that had burnt down, and the owners never rebuilt, they never did anything, they held the license. And they were holding it and holding it. The state came in and said, you need to get, we're gonna seize the license if you don't activate it. Because the state only allows you to keep a pocket license for so long, an inactive license. So what happened was, they wanted to get rid of it and make a little bit of money off of it. My understanding is that Frank's bought it for a very cheap price. Now they have the license, but the problem was they did not conform to the ordinance. And there was, back in 2001, there was a discussion among council. John Dorsey was the township attorney at the time. I've already listened to the tape, and which will bring me to the next section of this license, this request from this business owner. Kiernan's had decided they were strictly against another business selling alcohol. And they came before the council, and the council, Kiernan's allowed Frank's to have the license, but there's a restriction on that license that was agreed upon. They are only allowed to sell beer and wine over there. They're not allowed to serve.
No hard liquor.
No hard liquor. And Kiernan's agreed to that, and that's why they are where they are, okay? The next section of this is, he wanted to be able to share a license, like
He
a.
being Frank.
Who will be in,
um,
new person looking?
The new person
Okay.
Mr.
happens
Lee?
to be next to Frank. It's Wasabi.
Right.
And he wanted to be able to share a license with Frank, okay? Like, he gives me the, like Macaroni Grill and Chili's, which is a completely different can of
Situation.
worms. It's a different situation. When they came in, they bought that pad over there. They owned it. Brinker Corporation came in, bought it. It's like a 5 or 6 acre area. And they came before the council back in 2001. And John Dorsey at the time was the attorney, and he spoke in regard to this. It is legal what they did over there. That is one corporation with 2 buildings on the same pad. The it's one business and basically two concepts, okay? And
Same owner, though.
same owner, same payroll, same insurance, same everything. So
Same
it's
parking
really
lot.
not two separate businesses, okay? So what happened was, during that meeting, there was questions answered back and forth. The consensus was that they would be allowed to do that because of the way the property is, that they own the property. For one, Brinker owned that property. Wasabi does not own that. He rents a space, he leases it. Number two, Wasabi and Frank's is two different separate businesses. They do not have, same payroll, same insurance, anything. It's two completely separate entities, okay? And you're not allowed to share a liquor license. This is separate. This is separate from the other issue of him wanting to have a license in the C2 zone, okay? This is something else he brought to my attention. So basically, I told him he wouldn't be able to do what Chili's and Macaroni Grill did, and I did tell him, I said, you can buy a liquor license. I said, if you were to move your business, and the way the ordinance is written now, if he were to move his business into another part of town and got zoning approval, he could have a liquor license and run his business with a liquor license. There's nothing restricting him to do that, okay? But as of right now, what is on the books, he cannot share a license with Frank's, and he cannot have a license because of the ordinance restriction of the 1,200 feet. Okay? And I think, that was put into place because, I know Colleen had brought up the fact about Kennedy's and George's Liquor. When I would have to go back some more and look, the ordinance had been amended several times. I'd have to go back and pull every single ordinance and see how it was worded, what part of the ordinance was amended. But basically, it's for because it says existing licenses. So if
Yeah.
somebody already had an existing spot, which I'm sure George's has.
Yeah,
George's
they
has
were-
been around as long as I've been here, and so
Forever,
has
yeah.
Kennedy's.
Forever, right.
Forever.
Okay,
At least
so, and I knew they
35,
were
40
here
years.
long before
Kennedy's
I
too, yeah.
came to Mount Olive. So I'm assuming that anything moving forward, you would not be able to have a new business. And someone couldn't come in and put a business near Kennedy's and expect to be granted under this ordinance. So,
So, Michelle, in order to accommodate this business, we would have to amend the ordinance, would we not?
the ordinance would have to be amended.
And the only thing that would need to be amended is the 1,200.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that,
I don't know what the attorney's thoughts are, but, if the council wishes to amend the ordinance, you're basically saying that you could, this is just a possibility, in Sutton Plaza, you could have 4 bars over there, okay? And, I don't think the existing, say Corner Pub is gonna be too happy that the township is now
Absolutely.
allowing, other people to sell alcohol. It was back, the council decided to let Frank's sell it with the restriction of no alcohol on the license.
Right.
And I am almost positive that the Corner Pub is aware of this restriction, and that's why they don't come to council and say.
And complain.
And complain,
Mr. President, I want to go on record to say that I'm not in favor of amending the ordinance. Okay?
Thank you.
do we currently have any restrictions on anybody opening up a restaurant right next to Frank's and right next to Wasabi?
People can open up, I don't know about the whole restaurant thing, but if you have zoning approval, you can I believe you can open up a restaurant.
So the only thing
So
we're
you could have
protecting
because there's a
Just
bagel
liquor
shop,
license.
they
Yeah,
sell
you can- they
food,
can't
there's a
restrict.
pizza, there's a, the sushi, the wasabi is there.
Chinese restaurant at the end. you got-
Yeah, so I mean,
So the
there
only thing
are.
we're protecting is
Is the license, the
is a
liquor.
is a liquor license
Correct.
or a liquor establishment.
Correct.
So any other business is not protected against competition except for liquor,
Correct.
if I'm hearing correctly.
That,
No,
I don't
no,
know
there's-
about I don't know about food establishments, but I
There's-
would assume that, being that there's 3 right there within a 1,200-foot radius,
I don't think
I'm guessing.
It's the landlord, it would be up to the landlord, actually, if they want to rent it to
The
someone.
food,
but I don't think
the
you can ban it.
food carts aren't allowed either,
Food
like a
carts-
hot
food
dog
carts aren't,
stand
right.
or, you know,
That part I
that's a
understand.
1,000
That's different,
foot.
right,
Yeah,
right.
that's a different thing, but
Right.
there is, but the question was, is there any other restrictions? Yes, there is.
No, I'm
For-
talking
Well,
about-
for businesses.
there-
you
For
can't-
businesses,
You can
yeah.
open two pizzerias next to each other
Right.
if the landlord lets you rent it. It's up to.
Right.
Yeah,
Look
as
at the
long as
bagel
you're-
shops. You got two bagel shops right next door to
As
each other.
long as you're a
on
brick and
46.
mortar business and you're
Right.
paying
You can open up
taxes is what it boils
Two dry
down to,
cleaners
really.
next to each other.
You can open up an auto shop right next to another auto shop.
Oh, no, that we gotta stop.
I just want you to be aware, because I feel that, the reason why I alerted everybody is because I feel that this business owner is going to pursue this in the future. So I want everybody to just have a little history and be on the same page with it.
Is this a common restriction? Do you know, I mean, do a lot of towns do this? Because I've been in many towns where they do have multiple restaurants on top of each other, like Montclair, different places have a lot of restaurants.
Right, it depends on the town.
On the town, it's
Yeah,
up to the
and
town.
the sort of the
That's what I mean,
nature
it's
of the
right,
area
yes.
and whether it's
Yeah.
a food, you know,
Right, right,
lots
that's
of
what I mean, 'cause
restaurants.
you know you have a lot of restaurants and a lot of.
I mean, I know a
I
restaurant
think
in Madison I
Morristown
go
is set up
to.
differently than Mount Olive, though.
Yeah.
If you look at their structure.
Well, yeah, it's all different towns, I agree.
Right.
I was just questioning that. Yes.
My concern with the ordinance is that if we're gonna do the 1,200 feet, it should be in all zones, not just an exception on one zone. You know, and maybe just make the one exception of the existing one or something, I don't know. Because that's the part, I'm just afraid of being open for.
Yeah, but then if you do that, okay, then you have the hotels that have liquor licenses.
Do any of our
okay?
hotels have liquor licenses
Oh,
in
yeah.
town? Oh, they
Yeah.
do?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
okay, I
On the
just
trade
remember.
Okay, and there is
Yeah,
something,
the
I
other
would
ones
have to
couldn't.
look into it further, I don't know if Sue knows, but there is something, when a liquor license, when a hotel wants to be built, there's something about, if it's 100 or more rooms, that there is something with the state that they can obtain a license. So, all of our hotels, I'm
Yeah,
trying to
have more
think,
than
well,
100, yeah.
Holiday Inn, and then the one right next to that, which is,
And Marriott.
okay, they both have licenses.
Right.
Okay, extended stay does not have a license,
The smaller ones probably.
okay, but,
And I don't think the two on
Days Inn,
46 have
In the
them.
No.
comfort, whatever that is.
Yeah,
super
but
great.
they may not have more than 100
Yeah, I think
sleeping
they only have
rooms.
40-something.
You have to
whatever.
fall in with the requirements, so
Mm-hmm.
they have 100 or more sleeping rooms, definitely, the Holiday Inn, and they've changed names, I can't.
Residence? Is it a
Yeah.
residence inn or
It's
something?
Residence, I
Yeah.
think, now,
Yeah.
yeah.
Huh.
Because there used to be the Wyndham, then it changed, now it's Holiday Inn.
Right.
For this owner in Wasabi, could he be a BYOB? Does
Yeah.
he want to sell? Oh, he isn't?
BYOB,
Oh.
he could be a BYOB,
I think
but,
he even stores customers' wine.
okay,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
just so you
okay.
all know, I don't know how many of you are aware of this, by law, you are not allowed to advertise for BYOB,
Oh, okay.
okay?
I
And there
didn't
are many establishments that do have a sign in their window, BYOB, but by law, you're not allowed to advertise for BYOB, and you're not allowed to charge a corkerage charge. So like when they come and they bring the wine to your table and they put in the thing to cork it and pour the glass, you're not allowed to charge for that either. So he could have a BYOB, but the
Can't promote it.
he can't promote it, advertise. But being that said, the type of, I don't know, all the sake, whatever, what what is in that, if that's considered
Wine.
alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
And if it is, if there's hard liquor in those drinks that they naturally would serve at a hibachi or whatever, you have to have a liquor license.
Oh.
What if a customer, because I'm pretty sure they do this, where I can come in with a bottle of sake and keep it in his restaurant for every time I come. I'm pretty sure he does that now.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check into that, because a BYOB is not, you're not allowed,
I get my sake.
To store.
yeah, he should not be storing people's liquor, okay, because now he has liquor, he has no bar room, and he has liquor in his facility. So,
Interesting.
Yep.
It's a lot of information, and
Oh, yeah, I mean, on the surface, I'm just against protecting a business against competition. So I would need to be told a compelling reason why we need to protect. And unfortunately, you know, it's a business owner that I'm friends with. So,
Well, I think maybe if the township attorney wants to, you know, look into the ordinance and maybe what other towns may have, maybe we can,
Yeah, I'm inclined with Alex. The only one I would say restricting is if you're a liquor store. If you're selling goods, that's a different story than a bar or a restaurant. You know, if it's a restaurant and all, I'm inclined to say the more you have,
Yep.
it's a restaurant. It's my choice to go eat. It's not, you know, where I'm gonna go.
and a consumption license and a distribution license are two
Two
different
different.
things.
So we're talking about consumption licenses.
Yes.
Which is what I'm saying. I wouldn't liquor license for stores, that's a different story. You don't want to open three next to each other.
yeah.
But I'm inclined to agree with Alex, that's what I was saying earlier. I don't know what, you know, other than the reason, I understand the reasoning for it, but I don't know if that's a valid reason to keep it there for that.
And just also, I had asked Michelle earlier today, and she had said the state, it's not a state
Right, it's not a
requirement.
state
No, the
So
state
this is
has, the
totally
state has
local.
rules regarding churches and schools about how close a license can be in regard to churches and schools. Other than that, they told me it's up to the township to decide how they want to handle it.
Right.
and I would think that something like this restricting is just discourages a restaurateur from opening, you know, right
I
next to
agree.
another restaurant, because, you know, one of the major revenues is being able to
Get a liquor card.
to serve liquor with a meal, and I don't see anybody choosing a restaurant over, you know, whether they have, I guess, a license or not. You choose for the food, but
Right.
as a business decision, you know, that is, you know, one of the profit generating items on your menu.
Agreed. So we'll look at.
Yeah, so, yeah, let's
well,
get
let's
some
look this
more-
up then and see
So we'll
what other
look at
towns are
what's on
doing.
the
Yeah.
books now and then
compare
survey
it
other
with
towns.
And then we'll go, yeah, we'll discuss it again.
Yeah, not only for the business owner, but for the servers too, because they get they're,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
based on
tips.
commission, and
Yep.
if they're selling alcohol, drinks, their percentage is gonna be
I
higher
mean,
than
we
what
only
they'll
have so
get
many
too.
licenses anyway.
We only have
I
so
mean,
many
it's not like we
licenses.
can
It's
have
it's
100
governed by your
anyway.
population,
Right.
and I believe we're already over.
Over,
So-
That's why
yeah.
Mount Olive will not be issued any more new licenses
Right.
from the state.
has a
Someone
potential
can't go
seller?
to the state and say, oh, I want to
There's
license
a
Mount
couple
Olive. There's none
licenses.
that
Is he
are going
looking
to
to
sell
buy a
to me.
license from someone?
He
Yeah,
has-
there are
many?
licenses out there right now that are available.
How many are there?
Well, definitely one. We have one pocket license, and there are other people. They usually contact me when they want to sell. So, for the right price,
So-
What's a pocket license?
everyone tells me for the right price I'll sell my license.
More
But
price.
you're not going to sell a
They're reg-
license.
They haven't given up the right?
I mean, when
a
Macaroni Grill
Give it up, the state will
bought
not
the Boathouse license,
you know,
that license sold for 400,000. You don't see that anymore.
No.
Licenses are selling much, you know, half, maybe less than half of
They're
that,
the pocket, they-
if they're
they
lucky
haven't
right
sold
now.
it.
Put one in the car reserve.
It's supply and demand. You have a big corporation come in, they have money, they need the license, they're gonna buy it.
Yep.
All right, and then we'll bring
Okay.
that up again for discussion. Thank you.
Michelle.
Thanks. Any other new business? Seeing
He
none?
was the other pocket.
Was this supposed to be old business?
Old business.
Old business. Any old business? I just wondered. I thought maybe there
On the
was.
next one.
Seeing none. Anyone from the public wish to be heard at this meeting? Seeing none, close to the public. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, I open the Mount Olive Township Council meeting for August 9th, 2016. Michelle, would you read the Open Public Meetings Act, please?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda, Mr. Ferrante,
Here.
Mrs. Laybow.
Here.
Mr. Mania.
Here.
Mr. Stewart.
Here.
Mr. Roman.
Here.
Mr. Nacastro.
Here. Mr. Ferrante, would you pass approval for minutes from the previous meeting for July 26, 2016 workshop and public meeting?
Sure, I make a motion to approve the July 26, 2016 workshop and public meeting minutes.
second,
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Ferrante,
Abstain?
Mrs. Laybow,
Abstain?
Mr. Mania.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Mr. Roman.
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro.
Yes. Let me find my other thing. We have 35 pieces of correspondence. Does anyone have anything on the correspondence? Seeing none, then I open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 16-2016, an ordinance of the Township of Mount Olive in the County of Morris, State of New Jersey, to amend the Township Code, Chapter 224, hazardous materials. Mr. Mania.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption and final passage of ordinance number 16-2016.
Second?
Does anyone from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, close to the public. Any discussion from council? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Ferrante,
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow.
Yes.
Mr. Mania.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Mr. Roman.
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro.
Yes. Yeah, this one.
This was first reading.
Oh, that was that one. I'm sorry. Okay, I got it. Sorry about that. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 17-2016, an ordinance with a second reading on August 23rd, 2016, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Mount Olive in the County of Morris, State of New Jersey, to amend the code, Chapter 318, Sewers and Water, Article 8, Sewers, Section 318-53, use restrictions, prohibited discharges, to add a new subsection L. Mr. Mania.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that ordinance number 17-2016 be introduced by title and passed on first reading, and that a meeting will be held on August 23rd, 2016, at 7 p.m. at the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, for a public hearing, consideration of second reading, and passage of said ordinance, and that the clerk be directed to publish, post, and make available said ordinance in accordance with the requirements of the law.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is this-
Anyone, what's that?
I'm sorry, was this, I know you talked about an amendment.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
with the
do we have
revisions.
to
amended.
As an
that?
amendment, with the amendment?
Correct.
As
With the
amended.
amendments made.
As amended.
As amended,
Yeah, that was the amendment
Yep.
on the new construction.
correct.
No,
Changing it to
Yeah.
permitted, right,
to,
correct.
Yeah, eliminating new construction
And
and using
Permitted.
the word not permitted.
not permitted,
Correct.
correct.
Okay, so we'll have a revised ordinance from the
Revised.
attorney's office for the next meeting. for second
Anyone from the
reading.
public on that? Seeing none, any council discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Ferrante.
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow.
Yes.
Mr. Mania.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Mr. Roman.
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro.
Yes, next item on the, next item on the agenda is ordinance number 18-2016, an ordinance of the Township of Mount Olive, amending ordinance number 26-2015, which is established salaries for mayor, council, department head, supervisory personnel, employees of the Township Clerk's office. Mr. Stewart.
I'd like to move, that's the first reading, all right. I'd like to move the ordinance to be introduced in title and passed in first reading, and the meeting to be held.
Ordinance number,
Or you got 18.
18 is 2-0.
No, yeah, you got.
Thank you.
Okay,
18-2016, to be introduced in, by title and passed on first reading, and a meeting to be held on August 23rd, 2016, at 7 p.m. at the Municipal Building 204 Flanders Drakestown Road in Bud Lake, New Jersey, for a public hearing, consideration of second reading and passage of said ordinance, and that the clerk be directed to publish, post, and make available said ordinance in accordance with the requirements of the law.
Second.
Anyone from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, close to the public. Any council discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Ferrante.
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow.
Yes.
Mr. Mania.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Mr. Roman.
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro.
Yes. We have 8 resolutions. Does anyone wish to move any to non-consent?
No.
Seeing none. Does anyone from the public wish to say anything on the resolutions? Seeing none, close to the public. Where was I? Mr. Roman, would you move resolutions 1 through 8, please?
I move for approval of consent resolutions 1 through 8.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Ferrante.
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow.
Yes.
Mr. Mania.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Mr. Roman.
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro.
Yes. Mr. Ferrante, would you move the bill list, please?
Sure, I make a motion to approve the bill list.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Ferrante.
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow.
Yes.
Mr. Mania.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
Mr. Roman.
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro.
Abstain on check number 72550, yes to all others. Administrative reports. Laura, anything?
Couple of things. The Food Truck and Fireworks Festival is Saturday, August 27th. Fireworks start at 9 o'clock. Rain date is the 28th of August. The Employee Picnic, our first, is Friday, September 9th, from 1:30, or it starts at 1:30. And if you could all RSVP to Lisa, I think it's going to be a nice event and opportunity for council to mingle with staff, so hope to see you all there. The 9/11 Memorial Ceremony will be on September 11th at 8:45 at Turkey Brook. And one other, like, non-event related, Givaudan, if you'll recall, they were funding the Braille Trail. Unfortunately, we ran into a barrier known as the DEP. So we're actually not able to continue on with the second phase of the trail. So they're actually going to repurpose the money to do improvements in Drakesville Park for the lacrosse team. So we're working with lacrosse and, you know, they're gonna get like a practice wall. I'm not very well versed in lacrosse, with, you know, a scoreboard, concession stand, a number of improvements to the field that I think are much needed, and it's going to be I think it's going to be a really nice thing for the lacrosse league and for Givaudan and for the town. So we're looking for that to happen hopefully in the next couple of months.
Thank you. Any old business? Seeing none, any new business? Seeing none, any legal matters?
Yes, Mr. President, three comments briefly. On the M&E Railroad issue, Fred sent a memo up to council earlier today that you should all have a copy of. And without going into too much detail, he'll just keep you updated on events as they occur. Regarding Cobblestone, there's a condemnation hearing scheduled for September. And again, we'll keep you updated on that. And lastly, on affordable housing, we're negotiating with Fair Share Housing to come to a resolution in that matter, and we will brief you in September on the results of that. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Council reports. Mr. Ferrante, anything on environmental, lake, or library?
No.
Mrs. Laybow, anything on economic or TNR?
Well, the EDC, we got an email that the negotiations for grocery store at the old A&P at the top of Hackettstown Mountain have stopped. And so I guess they're back to square one. So where we were kind of hopeful something was going in soon, looks like not happening just yet. So anybody knows, anyone who wants to open up a grocery store in Mount Olive, in Bud Lake section, we desperately need one. Please come. That's it.
Yes.
Want to go in business?
Yeah, I would, but I don't. Are you gonna finance?
Mr. Maney?
Garbage disposals will cover it.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you, Greg.
Mr. Maney, anything on legislative or planning?
Planning, just to let you know, the planning board passed one of the applications on 206 where there's been a gas station that's been a wreck for many, many
Right.
moons.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to be a tire place, an 8-bay
Oh,
tire
on the
place.
northbound side?
And they'll be changing oil.
Yeah.
Alex, I'm sorry to tell you this.
It's on the other side, I'm good.
Okay. Changing oil and things like that.
Tires.
8-bay garage.
Oh, nice.
It's gonna be nice.
Mavis
Very
Tire, I think
nice.
is the
Yep.
company, right? I think it's
That's an
Mavis,
eyesore
they said.
there.
Yeah, it is.
It's been for how many decades
Yeah.
now?
Health Department, we have no meeting this month, so we will be meeting in September, I believe. Yes.
John, is there any progress on the application next to Bud Lake Diner?
It's gonna be heard again in September.
September 15th.
It was adjourned to the September meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Roman, anything on open space or rec?
No meetings held.
Mr. Stewart, anything on MOT?
No meetings.
Nothing. Anyone from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none close to the public, any council comments? Mr. Ferrante?
Nothing.
No,
Mrs. Laybow?
nothing, thank you.
Mr. Mania?
No.
Mr. Stewart?
No.
Mr. Roman?
I encourage everybody this Saturday to watch the Olympics at approximately
All right.
8:45
Oh, yeah.
a.m.
Yep.
to see Mount Olive's own Katura Orgy as she
Yay.
attempts to go for the gold in triple jump.
Wonderful.
45. Thank you for that. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Good night. Thank you all. Thank you for coming.
Well, Michelle.
Did you see the swimming last night?
Yeah, I was looking at
Oh, wasn't it
I was looking
incredible?
at
That's got to be it.
Phelps over there like eyeing him like, kick your ass. And that guy's trying to tell
How about the teenager girl from Georgia that beat the Russian?
Oh, beat the
and
Russian
calling
school.
her out on it, too. Of being a cheek.
Considering there's one a mile away. Yeah.
There's a driveway here, and here's the road here, and there's a traffic light. There's a gas station here, what do you call it, haircut around barber here, diner here. What's going on?
Yeah, yeah.